Welcome back to the whole podcast, KC. Today we are interviewing our another employee at the Whole Person, Haley Korf. And you have to remind me. I know you've been doing blind low vision for the past 3 months. But when did you
Little
start?
I wanna say it was, like, January? Yeah.
So what was your role that you were hired for here at the Whole Person?
Okay, so that's story time. So, I was
Let's get right
originally
into it.
right into it. I was originally hired as a case manager, a CDS worker,
Okay.
but because I don't drive because of my vision impairment, that presented a little difficulty, so I then got moved to adaptive sports to help out with Miss Kate and that program, and then the low vision program opened up, so then I moved over to that position.
Awesome. Okay. I mean, that was a role, but I wasn't sure of the time frames.
Yeah.
So now you're doing what I used to do before Megan.
Mhm.
And for our listeners, like it's very uncommon to work in a workplace with more than one visually impaired person. So
Yeah.
Haley and I are really excited to be working together because we can talk about things and like she totally gets it.
Mhm.
I mean, people here get it, but they don't
Different.
actually understand the actual circumstance and been there before.
Mhm.
So explain to the listeners your visual impairment and what happened and how you see.
Right. Okay. So I was like 16, 17. I had just got my license. I was sitting in chemistry class in a private school in high school, and I looked at the board and I knew that the guy was writing something, but I could not see anything he was writing. So I freaked out. I was like, do I leave the class? Do I get in trouble if I leave? What do I do? I had no understanding of what was happening. And so I waited, called my mom, and then we got connected with rehab services for the blind after a long time. We didn't know about it. We didn't know where to go. It was just
But how did you
fun.
know? So you knew that it wasn't just like you needed glasses, you knew it was
I
something
already
more.
had
Oh, okay.
glasses.
So you knew it was something more then.
Yeah, it
Okay.
just the vision was not coming back. Like, I sat through the whole hour of class, and I just could not see anything he was writing.
Yeah, I would have been freaking out.
Yeah. I was
For
like, "Do I
sure.
get a point for missing class?" Or, like, "What do I
Right.
do?"
Like, this is an emergency.
Right, yeah. So, after a long time, we got connected with the state agency, and then I just learned my blindness skills. But it took a while for them to diagnose what I was going through because it just wasn't heard of.
Right.
So it ended up being Stargardt's,
Okay.
which is equivalent to macular degeneration. You hear that a lot as a diagnosis for people. It's the loss of your central vision. So the example I use is like this is your central vision and this is your peripheral. So I don't see out of this portion of my eyes. And so that's where you see like print and people's faces and
Right.
social cues and
Right.
all of that good stuff. So
And when your coworker asks if my hair looks okay and you say yes, but yet you're looking straight at me, then I know
yeah,
you're not telling the
pretty much, yeah.
truth.
So or, like, when people are handing me stuff, I'm, like, trying to grab it, I'm like, "Where is this?" So,
Oh, right.
yeah.
Like, eye-hand coordination.
Mhm.
Yeah, I try to explain that to my friends sometimes too, it's very difficult, like,
Yeah.
they're like, "Come play pickleball with us." I'm like, "I don't think
I
you
don't.
understand." So then I try and they see and they're like, "Oh,
Mhm. It's
just a
so
little
different.
delayed, but I
Mhm.
still try."
I'm nervous, like, if I were to play a sport, like, it would just hit me in the
Oh,
face.
yeah. Well,
Um
I played softball, um, before my parents knew about my visual impairment,
Mhm.
and I got hit a few times. And I would be, like, out in the outfield or I'd be on, like, second base, and I'd be, like, cleaning it off because 'cause I'm like, "I don't understand why I'm out here,"
Mhm.
because I didn't get it 'cause
Mhm.
well, I was before kindergarten, so I was very young.
Gotcha.
But so what do you think what was the hardest, like, transition from being able to see to not? Like, what was the hardest thing for you to deal with?
All of it.
Yeah,
It's
because you just started driving,
Mhm.
right?
That was probably the hardest. That and still going to school and not knowing how to I couldn't read the books that were assigned. It was taking me way longer, so I just didn't read them, and I was like, "But I'm a good student. I love to read." I just couldn't. Um,
So did they get you any adaptive technology to help with that or
Not in
just
high
books on tape?
school. It was a private school, so private schools don't legally have to provide you with accommodations, but they
Wow,
did
really?
try to help, yeah.
That doesn't even make
I know.
sense. Public so
I
you would have been
know.
better off going to a public school
Yeah.
because you would have gotten more help,
Mhm.
assistance.
So, they really did try, but I didn't even know what I needed. So, it was like,
Right.
I was sitting there reading my textbooks like this and, you know
Did you get a lot of headaches?
yes,
Yeah, I remember a lot of headaches in
still
school.
do.
Yeah. I need lots of breaks, but
Mhm.
rarely take them.
Yeah, and that's the other hardest thing, transitioning from actually reading print to going to audio and listening to everything, like,
Right.
how do you read emails that have 2 paragraphs? You don't, you listen to it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and you were the one that taught me that. I just learned how to on Microsoft or
Mhm,
Outlook how to use the read function, and
mhm.
it's
It
very
saves
helpful.
so much energy from my eyes.
Yeah.
So then I'm not, like, non-existent when I get home?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So,
You just don't wanna be on screens at all.
yeah, or talk to anyone or, like
So, you then went on to college,
Mhm.
correct?
Yep.
And how was that? Did you have adaptive technology then?
Um,
Because 'Cause you're younger than me, so you
yeah.
should have had some stuff.
Yes and no. Back then, there was a lot of transition with rehab services counselors. And so I never quite knew what was available to me. And we didn't know the questions. Like my family, my mom and dad were like step by step with me every single meeting, like every like confusion with professors, like everything.
Yeah.
And we just didn't know the questions to ask. And so we were just fending for ourselves? And so I had some technology, but it just wasn't beneficial, and, like, back then, it was so clunky, like, "You're not gonna
Yeah.
carry this." I didn't wanna look different, you
Right.
know?
Oh, totally get it.
I
I
was like
it's there too. So did your school not help either?
They did, so I was in that office, the accessibilities office, like, every day. I was, like,
Yeah.
crying every day. I was like, "I don't know how to get through to my professors because they didn't think that I was blind enough." And I was like,
Wow.
"I don't look blind," and I hate saying that phrase because it's very
Right. Well, same. I
yeah,
mean,
but,
like, what do you want me to do to show
yeah.
like,
I was like, "Do you want me to run into a wall? Because 'Cause I'll
right.
do that."
Fall downstairs, that happens
Right?
anyways,
Yeah,
so
mess up my makeup so bad, that's a thing. So,
yeah.
very difficult, but it helps me advocate for myself, which I wasn't doing at
Right.
first because I was basically mute. Like, my mom was having all the conversations, and I was
Right.
just like, "What is happening? Like,
It's
what do I
such a new
do?"
world for
Mhm.
you, and then also, like, not
Not driving.
well, and, like, just going into college, that's a whole new
Mhm.
transition anyway, and then adding that on top of it doesn't
Mhm.
make things easier.
Right, and how do you be social? How do you connect with your teammates if you
Exactly.
can't
Did you live in the
see?
dorms?
Yeah, the
So
whole time.
yeah, so I lived in the dorms my first year,
Mhm,
and I was very shy. I
mhm.
know, hard to believe. I was very shy, and so we would have these meetings, the whole floor would be on there, and I should have just, like, introduced myself and
Yep.
said, "Hey, this is circumstance."
Mhm.
But, like, girls would wave or whatever on campus,
Yes.
and I would be looking, but no reaction, and
Yes.
they're like, "Oh, wow, she's just very stuck up."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, I'm really not." So then I started making friends. It took me a long time, but
Mhm.
and then other girls would find out, and then they would share and tell
Yes.
everyone else. So then we all became, good friends, but
Then it was time to
just
graduate.
yeah.
Yeah, that was my exact story. Actually, Chad,
Oh,
we went to
yeah.
the same school,
Oh, were you
and
guys there the same time?
yeah, yeah. And we got connected, because we were in a lot of the same courses, and
Mhm.
so he just started introducing me to all of the people he's met and all of the, like, friends who were helping him take notes because I was really struggling. I could not figure out how to make this work.
Yeah, I mean, I was the same way. Sometimes the professors, like, I would tell them, the first day of class, like, "Hey, I'm visually impaired. Can
Mhm.
I get a copy of your notes?" And some were cool and they did it, but then there were some that wouldn't.
Yeah,
And so then you just have to find a friend in class
a
and be like,
reliable friend.
right. Well, and everybody takes notes so differently, and
Mhm.
you go back and look at it and you're like, "I have no idea.
Exactly,
What
exactly,
is this?"
and they can't pay the note takers sometimes, so then they just kinda drop off, and you're
Oh,
like,
was that a thing? They got
"Yeah."
paid?
Some schools do, some universities do.
Oh, I don't think
Mhm.
I did that, but
Yeah, but
they were nice people and they gave me their notes and all, but
mhm.
still, like, handwriting in general for visually impaired
Yes.
people is hard to read anyway.
Cursive, I
Yeah,
struggle with that.
yeah. Can you
Yeah.
just, like, block letters and put a space in between
Mhm.
each letter?
Highlight some stuff maybe.
Right,
Yeah.
right, makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, no, I got the same difficulties with social stuff. It was very hard, and then I started using my cane, and it was like all of that just disappeared.
Yeah. So how did you, like How did you become comfortable with that? Because I still struggle with that. I use my cane in, like, an airport when I'm traveling,
Yeah.
especially well, alone mostly,
Yeah.
because we'll get onto the airport
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
But, so how did you, yeah, overcome that being comfortable with carrying one?
I still struggle with it, honestly, but, um, crossing streets is really hard, especially if it's a really big area.
Yeah.
And so, like, just for example, like the street out front, a lot of the cars don't stop when I'm crossing, even though the crosswalk tells them to.
Oh,
So the
really?
light is
That's a
still green, but
scary
it
spot
says
too.
stop. And so in those situations, it's like I need to use my cane because they don't know that I can't see them.
Right.
And so I
And
use
that's
it.
what O&M instructors have tried telling me in the past too, like, "Okay,
Yeah.
it's not for you, I mean, it's mostly for other people to know that you
Yes.
can't see them."
Yes.
And I'm like, "Well, that makes sense," but
Mhm.
I'm like, "Ugh,
Mhm.
I'll just run."
Yeah. I do that too sometimes, but don't tell my mobility instructor.
Or
Um
your parents.
Yeah, don't tell mom and dad. No, I just started using it on my walk-in, just, like, when nobody was around and I can, like, mess up if I need to, nobody else would know.
Do
And
you use
then,
it as a swiping or do you just carry it?
I there's a couple of techniques with using your cane, right? So you can do the swiping motion where your cane is touching the floor the whole time. Usually they have a roller tip on that, so you can just roll it the marshmallow tip, right? Okay, so I used to use that most of the time.
Okay, so the swiping
Mhm.
or the carrying of the cane, which do you prefer?
So I use a couple of different techniques because each situation that you face with crossing streets or anything is different, right? So you can do the swiping motion across the floor, like keep your cane contact all the time on the ground. You can do a tapping motion where you do like a tap here, and kind of understand where you're dealing with. So it really just depends on the situation.
Yeah,
But most of the time, I use an identification cane, and that's not really a fully functional cane, but I use it more to let other people know.
right,
And so in that instance, I do the tap motion because it doesn't have that marshmallow tip, the roly part at the end of
right,
your cane.
right.
It doesn't
And then it
have
would
that.
get stuck on all the cracks.
And then you impale yourself, which
Yeah.
is awesome.
Do those fold or are they not? Do they not?
There are different types of versions. Good question. The
I
majority of
should
them,
know this.
you're good. You're
I'm not a
good.
great, like, low vision person.
That's okay.
We already know this, so
Yeah, that's okay. So most of them fold. But then there are some schools of thought who really like the rigid cane, the ones that do not collapse in on themselves like a telescope.
oh,
They're the
yeah.
ones that just are just stuck in that one position. And
So
so
how do you travel with that?
very carefully because you got to put it in like a cab or like under your chair if you're at the airport. And
And then
so
somebody trips.
yeah. So I personally don't like using that because I
Yeah,
can't just put it in my purse and
yeah,
walk away.
right.
So,
Much easier, yeah, to be fold up, put it away, be
mhm,
out of the way.
mhm.
Alright, let's talk about airport.
Yeah.
Have you traveled a lot by yourself?
No.
No?
One time, cried a lot,
Yeah?
needed a lot of help.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Well, what I've learned is, I've traveled to a destination and met somebody, like, met a friend or go
mhm,
visit a friend.
mhm.
I've never really, like, traveled on my own because I feel like that would be a nightmare, not being able to see signs and
Yes,
yeah, it'd just be not fun. But
correct.
I've traveled to airport a lot on my own, and typically, I know I just go inside and the first thing I do is ask for an assistant.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
and it's so hard for them to understand what visually impaired means.
I know,
Every time
I know.
they bring a wheelchair.
I know.
And I'm like, "No, I actually like to walk, like, I'm trying
Mhm.
to get steps," and you get so many steps in the
Yes,
airport, right? So I'm like,
yes.
"Can I just walk?" And they're like and there's one time the lady was like, "No, it'll be easier
Mhm.
if you just sit in a wheelchair." And I'm like,
No, it's not.
"Okay, I
No, it's
feel
not.
really lazy because I am capable."
Let's go
You
teach the
know?
airport, Kirby. Let's just go do that.
I know. It's sad. Like, you would think that department would cover all disabilities and, like, how to talk to them and how to
Mm-mm.
help them.
No,
Um, so
no.
yeah, you've experienced the same thing.
Mhm.
I mean, they're all very nice and they're all very helpful.
Yes. And
Actually, the last time I traveled, they took me to the wrong gate and I was like, there's nobody here. I
mhm.
don't feel like this is right. And so after they walked away, I went and asked, and they're like, no, you're at the wrong gate.
Oh, no.
So my assistant failed me.
Mhm, mhm.
And luckily, I'm glad I asked. But
Let me ask you this. Do you tip the people who help you?
I do if I have cash, but man, I
I
never
don't
have
carry
cash.
cash.
I know. I
Okay.
feel bad, but
No.
that one took me to the wrong gate, so
Yeah. No, airports are very difficult because, I mean, I went in and my parents always make sure to say, like, she is vision impaired, she will need assistance. But when you go in and then they leave you at the gate and stuff like that, you get on. But if you have a layover, it's so weird. And you're like, where do I go?
Well,
And,
again, you have to ask for
mm-hmm,
assistance and say, "Hey, I have a layover. I need
mm-hmm.
somebody here." And then again, they're always waiting with a
Yep,
wheelchair.
yep. And you got to use your cane
Yeah. I
because,
always use my cane at the
yeah,
airport
because
just
you could get
because
run over. It's so scary.
yeah.
Also, if you use your cane, you can get on the airplane faster, like,
Oh, yeah.
towards the first round of people.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
always do that.
Yep.
I'm always like, "Can I get a
Same.
pre-board? I'm visually impaired."
Yes.
And it's awesome. You can sit I
It
don't sit at
is.
the very, very front because 'cause I'm short and I don't wanna take
Yeah.
the space for the long leg
Mhm.
people. But
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's scary, but yeah.
alright, what else is frustrating to you?
Well, you
We'll try
know
to keep it minimal here
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because nothing,
It's
like, is
never gonna be
accessible.
perfect. Yeah.
Right.
Um, just sometimes describing over and over again, like, "Oh, I don't see this. I don't," it's just like, "You're my friend. You should know, like, by now, like, after 5 years or something." And most people do, but when you go to different places, like, for work or for, whatever,
Mhm.
it's just constantly explaining it. It's just like, I just wanna be the blind girl,
Yeah.
Like, I
I was
don't always want
I
to
was
explain.
talking to a support group one time doing a presentation, and this older gentleman was like, "I've seen people, visually impaired older people, wear these buttons that says I'm blind or I'm visually impaired or whatever."
Okay.
And he wanted it, and he was all about it, but I was like, "Ugh."
No, no
I have
thanks.
seen a shirt that says, um, what is it? "I can see, kinda, it's complicated."
Yeah.
Like, can I just wear that
Yeah,
every
let's do
day?
that. Let's do that. I think grocery shopping is really hard.
Delivery,
Yeah, but that's
online.
expensive, Kirby. So,
Oh, come on, we got that
I know,
Instacart.
I know. Did you know that you could go to customer service and say, "Hey, I'm vision impaired. Here's my grocery list. Can you help me find it?" And they'll walk with you through the whole entire store and help you find whatever you need.
I'm at the point in my life where I've lived in the same area for
Mhm,
12 years. I go to the same stores,
mhm.
and I just memorize where things are.
Same.
Or most of the time, though, I do have a friend, like, I'm like, "Hey, do you need to go to the store after the gym?" And
Mhm,
they're like, "Well, no, but I'll take you."
mhm.
So,
Yep, yep. Or,
but yeah, yeah, I don't really go anywhere by myself. I mean, sometimes from work, I'll have to walk to CVS to get something.
mhm. Oh, that's a little bit of a walk.
Uh,
Use your cane.
3 blocks. Nah, I run. 39th is
Love
busy.
it, love it.
It works
So,
so far.
yeah.
Um, all right, social media.
Yes.
I know we've talked about this before, and you probably have the same struggle.
Yeah.
So, when you are looking at a story,
Mhm.
can you see everything?
No.
Even if I know most of your vision is peripheral. If
Mhm.
you look peripheral, can you read like signs and
It happens so fast sometimes that I
yeah.
can't I have to watch the video over and over,
I think the
so
user should be able to control when it goes to the next one,
yeah,
not
but a
the
lot of
app.
users don't say, "Oh, I might be," you know, showing this to a blind person or a vision impaired person, and so it's
So
just
do you
not
just
there.
screenshot it, look at it, and then move
Sometimes,
on?
or sometimes I just don't
I
look
just don't too.
at
And
it.
I feel like I missed out on so much. I have a
Exactly.
few friends and and I make sure and I look at everything they post because I
Mhm.
don't want to like, they've got kids and
Yeah.
things going on that I don't want to miss and sometimes that's the only way to know about things.
Yes.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
do it with my closest
Yeah.
friends, but it's hard to do it with everyone. You want
Exactly.
to see all the things, but
You just can't.
there's only so many screenshots and zooming
Mhm.
in you can do.
My phone doesn't have that much storage.
I'm running out.
Yeah. So,
All right. Thanks so much for being here with us. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Life can present challenges, but the whole person believes in turning challenges into triumphs. Our staff is trained to provide compassionate, personalized care that enhances the lives of our consumers, enabling them to live independently and with dignity. The whole person believes in the power of human connection. Our staff extends their reach into vibrant communities, fostering connections and creating moments of joy for every consumer we serve.
Whether that's through peer support groups, adaptive sports, employment services, or non-emergency medical transportation, our staff provides exceptional care and become trusted companions and confidants. Your donation will help us continue to expand our programs and services to help people with disabilities remain independent and living in their home. Consider giving a gift today. Thank you.
All right, welcome back. We're just going to jump back into it. We were just discussing a few more things we wanted to talk about. And let's start with shopping and makeup. So I know for me, sometimes I'll just ask my friends to help me, but honestly, I think it's easiest. I just go into Sephora by myself
Mhm,
and say, hey, I'm visually impaired. This is what I'm looking for today. I need something very easy to put on,
mhm,
not something that's going to be, cause like a line. I
mhm,
mostly just do like tinted moisturizers.
mhm.
Um,
Yep.
eyeliner, I got tattooed because I couldn't, I couldn't do it.
It's a struggle. It's a
Do you do
struggle.
yours?
Yeah.
How?
Carefully and with a lot of magnification, and then I call my mom.
Send her a picture, like, "Is this
Yeah.
right?"
Yep.
I do that a lot.
Yep. Yep. So, makeup. Mhm.
What about mascara? How do you do mascara? Same way? Magnifier?
Yeah, I can't do that by myself because like, without looking because my eyelashes are so long that, like, if I were to go in the wrong direction by accident, like, I wouldn't know it, and so I have to look at the mirror so that I can go straight.
I don't know how I learned this, but I remember being, like, 15 or 16
Mhm.
and, like, just doing it. I don't even know how I did it.
Really?
And I don't use a magnifier or a mirror at all,
That is
but
a
I do wanna
talent.
show you something. So I have my mascara in because I put it on before I came in.
Yeah.
And, like, this, I don't know if you can see it, but it's, like, curved.
Mhm.
So when it's
Yeah.
curved, if you don't have it right, it just
Yes.
clumps.
Yes.
And so it's real annoying because now I'm just like, and I'm the type of person that I'm not just going to throw it away. I'm going to use it until it's
Yep.
gone. So I just like ask somebody, I'm like, can you line this right up so
Mhm.
it's with my eye? And then I
Mhm.
do it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out why it kept clumping. And I was like, wait, I think that wand is curved.
Yeah, I also do the same with, like, Sephora and Ulta. I'm like, "Hey, look, I'm vision impaired. Can you help me?" Because I didn't know about makeup. Like, my mom wears it, like, for functional makeup, not for, like, highlighter and all that stuff, and
Right.
so I was like, "I need easy steps, and I need a mascara wand that will get all of my eyelashes."
Yeah.
Because sometimes I just get, like, the middle by accident, and then it's so weird,
How do you
um,
know? Can you tell?
with
I
a
always,
lot of magnification
okay.
mirror.
I'm
Yeah.
sure mine's always off, but
I've never noticed.
well, lots of practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of times too, like when I go into Sephora, I'll be like, okay, if we're working with blush, like,
Mhm.
okay, how many times do I need to swirl my brush in
Exactly.
there? And they're like, these are questions I've never been asked
Yes.
before.
Yes.
And then I'm like, okay, where exactly do I go and what
Mhm.
motion?
And it
Um,
changes. Like, the placement of blush is, like, put it on the apples, put it
up
going up
higher.
here, or, like, across your nose, like a sun kiss look, and I'm like, "Can I just have one? I just need one."
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about do you do a highlighter and all that?
Mhm. So, I am wearing full makeup today, and it is really hard for me to do some highlighters because it blends in so much that I can't tell. Like, if you wear a highlighter, you can look like you literally just streaked across a.
Yeah. You got to blend it well.
But how do you
I,
know if it's blended?
well, I don't.
Exactly.
I don't. I hope that my friends tell me, and some do,
Mhm.
and I don't know if some people just don't understand that I really cannot
Yeah.
see any of the makeup on my face.
Yep.
And so then somebody will be like, "Oh, here," and then my
Mhm.
friends just automatically come up to me and
Yeah. Yeah.
blending. I'm like, "Thanks,"
Yep. Yep.
but that's why
Yep.
I don't wear a
Yeah.
lot.
It depends on the day. Like, if I just wanna do something different, then yeah. But most of the time, it's just mascara and
What about
eyeliner.
like clothes shopping
That's hard. That's hard because,
sizes?
and they're all different in every store, and I
Can we just do color coded hangers
can we?
everywhere,
Because
like Target? Come
some
on.
because I do not like looking at those tiny labels for, like, 3 hours trying to find one pair of pants.
Right. Well,
Like.
I use just like a magnifying app on my
Mhm.
phone.
Mhm.
And so then you have to hold the tag, and
Yep.
then you have a purse, and then
Yep.
I always take my dog shopping. So then I have a dog leash, and then I'm, like, trying to hold my phone to
Right?
read the size, and it's so small, you have to get so
Yes.
close. Ugh.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when I utilize that tool where I go and ask for help. 'Cause
Yeah.
I do not wanna spend 3 hours looking for one pair of jeans, like, I
Right.
don't have that
Right.
energy. So, and I take, like, really close people to me, like my cousin, and I'll go shopping, and she'll, like, know, like, "Okay, Haley can't see these. I'm gonna go help her find it." And then I'll just be in the waiting room, hopefully not the waiting room, but, like, the changing room,
Yeah.
and she'll just bring me clothes and be
Oh,
like,
that's
"Here you go."
awesome.
Yeah, it's so much nicer.
Yeah,
So
and I have found out when I do ask, everyone has always been super helpful and
mhm,
very nice. Sometimes you have to explain a little bit more because they're
mhm.
like, "Wait,
You don't look blind.
yeah, well, I'm not
Yeah,
completely blind,
yeah.
but I just can't see small detailed things."
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
That's why I try to use my cane in those situations too. But
Or
mm, go ahead.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
So next topic, dating.
Yeah,
How has that been for you?
that's a whole book.
Right?
Um,
Seriously.
it's hard because, 1, you and I don't drive. So if we were to go on a date, like, do you have a stranger come pick you up? Like, do you want somebody to know where you live?
Uber,
Right,
walk,
right, but then it's like, how close do you wanna be, Do you wanna walk to Power and Light or, what's around you that you can go and feel comfortable walking home at night,
right,
or catching an Uber at night,
right.
and it's just all these factors, and then, like, online dating is even harder because you try to explain what vision impairment is sometimes, and then you just get ghosted, and you're like, "Cool."
See, I know, right? And you
Mhm.
don't know if like that person's just
Yeah. Wants a relationship or not a relationship.
like I want somebody to like get to know me a little bit before
Yes.
I share that,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
I don't know. I try to reverse the roles and think like how would I feel,
Mhm.
but I mean, to me it's not a big deal. Like, oh,
Right.
I can't drive. It's
Right.
and I
It's
can't
just
recognize you. So
yeah.
that is the nice part, I guess. If you do go on a date and like he ghosts you or
Mhm.
doesn't work out, like
Yeah.
I'll never if we're in the same room or the same place, like I'll never know. That's
Exactly.
great.
Exactly.
My friends like they envy me for that because they're like, "Oh, that you're so lucky. You don't even know." Like,
Yes
nope.
and no,
I
like
could probably walk right past one and not ever
yeah.
know. It's
Exactly.
great.
Exactly. It's really funny when, like, you know, like, your friends or family be like, "Oh, Haley, you gotta walk this way. You're not walking this way." And you're like, "Why?" And they're like, "You know that person and you don't wanna walk by them." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay,
Thanks for having my
thanks."
back.
Yeah. But no, it's very difficult for people with vision disabilities.
Oh, and not to mention when you are meeting somebody for the
Mhm.
first time, I always try to get there like 20 minutes before
Yeah.
because I have to be the first one there.
Yeah.
Because if he's sitting at the bar, like
I
waiting to
wouldn't
meet
know.
me, like
Mhm.
I'll just sit down and he'll be like, "What is she
Mhm.
doing? Does
She's
she
one
not?
person over.
She not see me? No, I do not."
No, I do not, sir.
So I always try to make sure that I get there first so that I can be the
Yeah.
first one there. But sometimes you're running behind and that doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Or
Dang.
they're really early. That's happened. He's like, "Oh, I'm here already." I'm like, "Ugh."
I am 20
So
minutes away.
so what I did, I was just like, so I have this really bad light sensitivity."
Mhm.
And so I told him, I was like, I can't like when I go from the outside to the inside, it's hard for my eyes to adjust, which is
Yeah, it
true.
is.
So it's not a complete lie.
Mhm.
And then I was like, "Can you just like meet me at the door?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, no problem." Like he was
Oh,
cool with it. But
yeah. No, that's a real thing, though. Light sensitivity, photophobia is very, debilitating.
yeah, and I
Um,
noticed the older I get, the worse it gets. Like
yes.
especially adjusting from light to dark, but then
Mhm.
also like just going out in the sun, it's like, ah,
Yes. Or on snowy days or rainy days,
right.
like, it's worse
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's weird. It's like cloudy, but it's so bright.
Mhm. And then I'm wearing my sunglasses and using my cane, and I was like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm that person."
Yep.
Oh, but they don't know. So, I don't know. Dating is hit or miss.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, can we just I don't know.
Can we
There's
skip this
gotta
part?
be an easier way.
Yeah, there's not. Not yet.
The apps make it a little bit easier, I guess, but
Sometimes accessibility isn't always there.
right.
So,
What else?
I don't know.
I feel like we've covered a lot
We have.
in a short amount of time.
Yeah. It's just finding out what works best for you and, like,
It
sticking
is.
with
It's so
it.
different.
Mhm.
Cause like nothing seems blurry to me when I explain that.
Yeah.
but, like, I just can't focus
Yep.
on
Mhm.
what needs to be read or recognized or
Yep.
and then
Exactly.
you're kinda that way, but then you can see better out of your peripherals.
Mhm.
I have peripheral vision, but it's not any different than
Mhm.
my central. So, it's crazy how there's so many different levels of vision impairment
Mhm.
impairment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a spectrum.
Yeah, and it's not ever the same for one person, like, not even close.
Right.
Mhm.
I know so many different people that, like, some people just see, like they're looking through a straw,
Mhm.
and I can't imagine, like, how to overcome that, but I feel like you just over time, you just learn.
You just get used to it.
Mhm.
I know people who have that vision, the tunnel vision, and they still drive.
That's scary.
Yeah, so public service announcement, go get your eyes checked
Watch out for those drivers.
that are super slow.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you ever take public transportation, like the bus or, like, the streetcar?
Um, when I have to, like, if I need to take the bus in to get to work, I will do that, but it's very scary to me still because I just don't wanna get on the wrong bus.
It is. So back before there was Ubers or anything, I had to get to work and
Mhm,
took the bus and I had
mhm,
to make a transfer
mhm,
and I did get on the wrong bus and it was
mhm.
not a great part of town.
Yeah.
And so I was like, somebody was standing there and I was like, "Do you know how I get to?" And they just looked at me and didn't say anything. And I was like,
Mhm.
"Cool."
Yep.
And so I called a coworker and I was like, "Hey, I'm here. Can you just come get me?" And they're like, "Oh my God, you're where?"
Yeah. I've done
I
that.
made
Yep.
it. And it was like freezing. It was like right in the middle of winter,
Oh my
snowing.
gosh. Yeah,
But
it
makes
happens.
us stronger, right?
It does.
Makes
And
us appreciate Ubers more.
it does. Yeah, no, only if I have to, do I use buses, but I usually just walk to work or, catch an Uber to, like, a hair appointment or something, but most of the time, my family is around town, so they can take me.
Yeah, that's nice.
So
My family did live like an hour away, and so they could be here a lot more. And then they moved to the lake, so now it's 2.5 hours. So I've made some adjustments.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
the streetcar, have you ever done that?
Once. It was cool, but, like, I still don't understand, like, when you get on, like, how do you know which direction it's gonna go? You know?
Yeah, and I don't understand. Well, I guess it does announce the stops, but I'm like, okay,
Not
power light
familiar.
or whatever, but like where in power
Yeah.
light? Like
Yeah.
where am I gonna be when I get off? Am I gonna
Mhm.
I know a lot of parts of the city and I can detect like by landmarks and stuff like, oh, if I
Mhm.
see like the Sprint Center or whatever it's
Yeah.
called now.
T-Mobile Center.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
if I see that, I'll like, oh, I know exactly where I am. But
Right.
if I don't have a landmark, I'm lost.
Same. I got in trouble for doing that with my, mobility training. They're
Really?
like, "You're not supposed to use landmarks, like,
Well, we
use the
can't see
street."
signs and we can
I
see landmarks.
know.
So what do you want me to
They
do?
were like, "Don't go by those bushes. Those bushes are gonna change." And I was like, "They're still gonna be there though 90% of the time. Like, I'm using
They've
the
got me
bushes."
through a while. Well, they're extending the streetcar down to where the part of town where I live, and
Mhm.
so, yeah, I'm hoping to take it because I
Oh,
could take it to and from
good.
work.
Yeah.
So
Great.
I'm excited for that
Yeah.
whenever that happens.
Hmm.
But
Cool.
all right. Well, do you have? Let's see. Now that you are running the Blind Low Vision,
Mhm.
what's coming up? I know. I mean, we talk about bowling the third
Mhm.
Wednesday of every month.
Yep. Yep.
In KCK.
Mhm.
What else is coming up?
Well, I do those Zoom meetings. What is it? The first Monday and the second Monday?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the first Monday is the Mind's Eye View.
Mhm. And then the tech talk is the second
Have
Monday.
you had any guest speakers yet since you've
Not
been
yet.
the
I'm still building
I
a
had a hard
following.
time. And
Yeah.
you know what? You could even like when I first started, I brought Chad on
Mhm.
just to go over some like easy stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm sure that you could do that too
Oh,
though. I
yeah.
mean, you're as educated as he is.
Yeah.
Um
Um So I'm still trying to get people to join. And so once
I
I
know
get
it's
a
hard.
little bit more consistent with that, then I'll start bringing in some guest speakers. But for right now, that's kind of what I've just been doing. And then we're looking at different events to host, like maybe going to the lake or the tandem bikes and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
just trying to figure out a lot of details and what is possible. So yeah.
So, we have any listeners out there that are blind, low
Yes.
vision, that are interested in any of these topics, feel free to find Haley on our website under our low vision services.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's a race? Is that Fighting Blindness race?
So it's the race is a vision walk, and it's
Oh,
through the Foundation for Fighting Blindness. And so that organization helps out a lot with doing research on vision impairments and blindness and trying to find some sort of resolution. So they're putting a ton of time and energy into that. And they have a walk. Let me look at my paper. You guys are going to see how truly vision impaired I am. Okay,
well,
so
there's no way I could see it from that far away.
I'm struggling, but I got it. I got it. So it's the 17th annual Kansas City Vision Walk. It's on Saturday, June 8th, 9 a.m., and it's at Corporate Woods Founders Park. If you go online to just Foundation for Fighting Blindness, it has it all right there on their page, and you can RSVP, and there's no cost associated to it. So it's just a really good
Oh, so you
time
can
of
just
like,
register and it's
mhm,
free?
mhm.
And how far is it like you say it's just a walk, right? So
Yeah,
it's not
it's
like a 5K or
I don't
anything?
even think it's like a full mile, like and you
Oh,
don't
okay.
even really have to walk, but, like, if you wanna show up and have
Will there
some
be a resource fair as well, like afterwards, or do you know?
they have usually a bunch of different vendors lined up that you can go and talk to and stuff like that. I know Audio Reader was there, I know the whole person has been there in the past, and we're gonna be there this time, but I don't know who's all lined up, but
Okay,
yeah.
cool. I will check out the website.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Haley, thanks so much for being with us today. This was a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah,
It's fun to be able to talk and someone else actually get what you're going through. So
absolutely,
awesome.
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for being here. All right. For our events that are coming up, as always, we have the rock climbing the second Saturday of the month. And then we have bowling, third Wednesday of the month at KCK. And then also, we want to start advertising our pickleball and bags tournament coming up at the Chicken and Pickle in Overland Park on August 18th. And that's from 4 to 6 p.m. And you can check that out on our website for more information at thewholeperson.org. Thanks for joining us today and see you next time.